friends, let's get started with our first makeover today. I have this arched mirror. It's been in my stash for weeks, probably months. Picked it up from Salvation Army for a couple dollars and I just really loved the shape of it. So we're going to start by getting off this backer piece. My plan was to take the mirror out, but as you're about to see, that is not what ended up happening. Unfortunately, it was glued in. But fortunately, later on down the road, it ended up popping right out. So I was able to paint this piece and do all the things without the mirror in the way. And honestly, it is just best to take it out if you can, because then you don't have to worry about cleaning it up. I struggled with the swan mirror a few weeks ago, and either way, it was just an ordeal. So now we are scuff sanding the flat areas on this piece. It is raised, and I think it might have been hand painted. It felt like it at least. So we needed to smooth that over, but we're going to come in with Cadre mold. This is a newer IOD mold that I have not used to the full extent it deserves. So we are breaking it out today. I'm going to dust the area I plan on casting with a little bit of flour or cornstarch. I'm going to warm up my IOD air dry clay, push it into the details with my thumbs, and scrape off any excess clay. Then I will just flex the mold, flip it over, and let gravity help the casting fall right out. I'm going to go ahead and lay this one in the corner I plan for it to go, and I'm going to make another one to go in the left corner. And now I have this other piece that's also in the Cadre mold. I'm going to place right up here at the tippy top of the arch. And then I'm just going to have fun and keep on casting areas. I love this little cherub. Isn't he adorable? I made both of those, one for the right, one for the left. And then I'm going to connect in between those with some of these pretty little floral garland pieces. Kind of positioning it under the other mold and just making it flow until I like the way it looks. Once I get my placement figured out with everything, we're going to start gluing using some Titebond Quick and Thick. All of our castings are now glued down. All of the little squeeze out that happens sometimes, I have gotten up with a paintbrush and a baby wipe, and here is how we are looking. I think this is going to be exactly the detail this mirror needs, but now we need to add some texture. This is layer number 1, and it is just some black paint mixed with some salt wash. And I'm going to come in with a older kind of ragged paintbrush, and I'm going to do some pouncing, some up and down texture all around the flat areas to our frame. And I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little extra salt wash over top of that wet paint. It'll just be a fun effect later down the road. But I'm not going to use this texturized paint on my castings. Instead, I'm going to mist my paintbrush heavily and mist the area so it really thins that paint out, and it will flow into all those little nooks and crannies, and you don't have to worry about damaging your pretty fresh, not dry casting. Now that that layer is dry, we're going to come in and give everything a good seal using some shellac. I just did one quick coat over everything. And of course, we're going for another layer, which is going to be milk paint. I think the shellac in between that texturized paint and our milk paint is a good call if we want some crackle and chippiness. So I'm mixing up some Flour Sack Sweet Pickins milk paint, and I'm going to mix it up a little thicker than usual. Let it sit and thicken up for about 10 minutes. And as that is doing its thing, I'm going to break out my Sweet Pickins beeswax bar and just run it across some of the texture and details that we just created. And now it is time to add another layer, and I'm going to put this on pretty thick. Putting the paint on thick instead of thin layers will create more texture and even larger, thicker cracks. And this whole vision for this piece is aged, old world feels. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 coats on the front side, and I'm going to flip the mirror over and give the back side a good coat of this milk paint as well. When I go over the casting details, I'm going to go over it really quickly. I'm not trying to cover up all the black we just painted, so some of that black will peek back through. Once our 2 coats are dry, here is what we're looking like, and we got some really good crackle. It's kind of hard to see. I don't think I have my ring light in the right direction. Sorry about that. But really good crackle. I'm excited about that. But now we need to get off where, oh, no, I'm sorry. I decided to spray this matte sealer all over first because I didn't want too much chippage, and I was worried about that in some areas. And once that is dry, I'm going to take this scraper tool and start scraping back the areas I applied that beeswax to. And it's going to chip back down to the black paint, especially where we had lots of texture from using the salt wash. And it's just like a really cool look, and it looks authentically aged and chippy. Moving on to layer number 3. This is a pretty light layer. I have some taupe color and I have some water. I'm going to mix up a paint wash with these two and mix it together well. This is mostly water, just a little bit of paint. And remember, we did apply that spray sealer over top of our white paint, so we should be able to pull back this paint wash pretty well as long as we work in small sections. So I'm just going to work a section at a time, apply the paint wash, and then I'll use a blue shop towel and dab the paint wash up, and this is going to create just a fun layered effect and bring out some of that crackle and the details in our beautiful castings. And we're almost done. Now we're going to add some agent wax, especially around the casting areas. But I'm going to go ahead and put it everywhere too. But just so it doesn't darken the area up too much, I have a little bit of clear wax to the side where I can buff out any dark areas and pull back some and kind of highlight the areas and the high points of the castings. And I went around and did this to the whole mirror. I did go ahead and add both the paint wash and the wax to the back side of the mirror as well, so the piece looks complete and finished. And the last layer is just to add a touch of gold rub and buff on some of the high points and details, edges, really just here and there, not much at all. And I love this final touch. And the last step is to get the mirror back in, as well as that backer board, add a new hanging hardware system to it, and this piece is done. I love the authentically aged just vision this piece turned out giving. I love it. I priced it for $97. Y'all let me know what you think about this makeover. I think it is a huge before and after. Alrighty, let's jump into our next project, which is this little thrifted birdhouse I paid 99 cents for at Salvation Army. Our first step is to sand back that hand-painted detail just to make it nice and smooth. And I'm going to be honest with you for a second. I've had this project done and finished, and I just haven't decided to put it in a YouTube video. Maybe that means I don't necessarily love how it ended up, but y'all be the judge of that and let me know what you think when we get done. So as you notice, I had to glue that dowel, that bottom dowel, back into place with just some super glue and accelerating spray. And now we're going to freshen up the birdhouse area with just a nice neutral warm white color. I believe this is Oak White by Fusion's Alchemy line. Our next step, we're going to take some milk paint, a little bit of In the Pickle with a little bit of Flour Sack just to create a lighter green color. I think this is a really cool color, by the way. We're going to take some beeswax and run it across the roof and the base of our birdhouse because I want some of this blue color to come back through my final finish. So once we get that all beeswaxed up, we're going to go ahead and apply about a coat and a half to the roof and to the base. I'm going to take my time and cut in around those hard areas, trying my best not to get any green paint on the white paint. The part of this project I did really love and ended up loving how it came out is the roof and how it ends up looking. So I'm going to take my sanding sponge and just sand back those areas we applied the beeswax to. It's going to distress that green paint and bring out that pretty blue underneath color, and I just really, really like the way that looked. Now, I had some of these miniature castings in my stash. I believe this came from one of the last year's Christmas molds, which I think I have a few left on my website right now. I cannot remember the name of it though. Oh my goodness, yes I can. It comes from Victoriana. So these castings came from there. They're just casted with resin. I'm going to use my super glue and accelerating spray to attach these to the front of my birdhouse. I love using this accelerating spray. I'm very impatient and it's just very handy for quick fixes like this. So you can move on and go to the next step. Once I get these adhered, I am going to go over top of them with a coat of that oak white paint. And then we're going to let that fully dry. I decided I wanted to add some details to the left and right side of our birdhouse, going off of this inspiration picture right here from Nature's Etching IOD stamp. This is one of the new ones from the summer release. I'm going to take my black IOD ink and we're going to ink up the back of that stamp. And then I love having baby wipes handy to clean up any rogue ink or just any ink where I do not want it to make an impression, like I took the word off of this stamp just because it wasn't going to go on straight, and I kind of wanted to catacorner this design on the side of my birdhouse. But we're just going to press with one hand, hold with the other, and lift straight up, and we got a beautiful impression right here. And I'm going to do the same thing for the left side too. Next, let's seal this piece up. I'm going to use my clear wax brush. It already has some wax built up on it, so I'm very quickly going to go over the piece with the clear wax and then go in with my aging wax brush. That just has a little bit of wax on it. I honestly didn't even dip it into the container. I just rubbed what was on it, and that was the end of it. And I buffed it out, and this is really going to highlight the details of our casting and the crackle that we got on our top and base. And for our last step, I'm going to take some of this velvet ribbon I get off Amazon. It came in this 3-pack right here. And just look how perfectly this blue matches the blue on our birdhouse. Like it is meant to be. So I'm going to use this as a hanger for the top of our birdhouse. And then I'm going to create a little long droopy bow that I can glue in front of it. That's it for this one. What do y'all think? Honest opinions here. It's in my booth. It's for sale for $23. I think it's been in there for about a month or two. It has not sold. So I think I'm going to bring it home and give it another try, maybe for Christmas time. Y'all let me know what you think about how this one turned out. What would you have done differently? Let me know down in the comments. Moving on. Here's our third project. Do y'all remember this wooden tote I picked up on the 301 yard sale about a month ago? I could not wait to get started on this piece. I paid $20 for it, which was a pretty good deal. It is nice and sturdy, and man, this project go through some changes. To start off with, I am shellacking the ends of our wooden tote because I thought that's all I was going to do. But we're going to pivot several times during this project. I'm mixing up some Sweet Pickins flour sack milk paint, pretty thick, so I can do less coats. And we're going to go ahead and apply 2 coats to both the left and right side of the end of our tote. And I'm going to go ahead and paint those edges too. Once that was good and dry, I'm going to do some light distressing. This is old piece, an old tote, so I definitely wanted a old finish. So we're going to distress that pretty heavily. And then I'm going to try to use up what I have. I have this ditzy balloon paint inlay, and I have never used the red wallpaper design. So we're going to be using that on the ends of our tote. I'm going to use polyacrylic in the matte sheen as my medium to apply the inlay to. I just like doing it that way. You can also apply it in a layer of milk paint if you want. But this is just how I like to do it. I like to mist the paint side of my inlay and then do a starter strip if you need to. If not, just lay enough medium down that it stays wet in order for you to get that wet paint inlay smushed into it. If you don't apply enough, it's not going to transfer well. So we're going to rub that down well, get it nice and evened out, and then I'm going to mist over the top of it again to get it nice and wet. Then I will dry that off. I like to use my heat gun to dry it so I can move on, to the next step, which is re-wetting it and peeling it off, which is always my favorite part. It is so addicting. Once you get used to this process, you will want to do it over and over and over again. And y'all, I am a perfectionist. Believe it or not, I'm a perfectionist. So when I don't get the perfect result, sometimes I feel like I'm going after, you just have to let that roll off your back. Like this one right here, it did not pick up perfectly, but I got to remember my vision going into this is aged. Imperfect is the game, is what we're going after. So I try not to sweat the small stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're going to dry that side and do the same thing to the other side. And this side actually got a much better impression than the first side did. Just so I don't have to worry about smearing that red paint anywhere, I'm going to seal both sides with a spray clear sealer. This is Rust-Oleum. And then I was like, okay, let's do something to the middle. The middle is just not vibing with the edges. So I went ahead and shellacked those areas as well. This is some very, very dry wood. As you can see, I painted it red. I hated it. So then I shellacked over that red again and then came in with some more Sweet Pickins flour sack milk paint, and I did 3 coats to cover that red up. In the name of using up what I had, I went through all of my IOD transfer books and I pulled out all the red transfers that I had. Some came from Ephemeral Melange, some came from Seed Catalog, some came from one, I don't even remember the name of it. It had those pretty white roses in it. And we are going to mix and match these and really just create like a garden tote box that will transition well into fall because of the red colors to it. That was my thinking process, at least, because it is very much time for me to start working on fall projects. Y'all let me know if y'all have started yet. I plan on jumping to those very, very soon. So we're going to transfer these down like we always do. I like to lift and rub at the same time. That helps these more detailed transfers come off a lot faster. I bent some going around the edges. Some I cut up and used how I wanted them to be used. And I just had fun and just kept on adding until I liked the way it looked. And our last step is just to clean up that bottom, get any white paint off that may have gotten on the bottom. I wanted to leave it natural and alone. And we're going to seal up this piece with some Fusion Agent Wax to really bring out the crackle and all the age and glory of this piece. The transfers need to be sealed and that milk paint needs to be sealed. And I'm sure you can hear Roscoe's big ears flapping around. Either way, I ended up loving how this piece turned out. It was a process getting it here, but I love how it ended up. Y'all be sure to let me know what you think about this makeover. I priced it for, I think, $69. Alrighty, I think this is our final project today, and this is another 301 yard sale find. I picked up 2 of these nice canisters for 50 cents each. That's a heck of a deal when I know I can do a quick makeover on them and easily get $27 a piece for them. So we're going to take the lids and give them a quick scuff sand, and then we're going to clean them with some alcohol, get rid of any grime, and give them a little bit of texture. I shellacked them with just some spray shellac, and I mixed up some avocado Sweet Pickins milk paint, and I'm going to go ahead and give it as a nice and heavy coat to create some thick crackle and texture. And I decided to do this fun little design and not paint the tippy top of that. I just like the way that looked, and look at that fun texture we got once it was dry. I'm going to seal up the top with some Fusion Agent Wax. All right, I am positive y'all have seen this Cranky Blackbird coffee label before. Ginger Chick Rehab uses it a lot, and the first time she used it is when I downloaded it. And this really does sell. Whatever I put it on, it sells very well. But unfortunately, I don't own a printer at my house, so what I have to print, I print at work. And I made my label too big, and I was getting this label up here. I could have reprinted it a smaller, but I just decided to cut that bottom area off, and I'm going to do what she does pretty much and burn the edges just to make it look more aged and not have any really sharp edges to it. I'm going to apply my Mod Podge to the back of my paper. I'm going to spread that around evenly, getting it all the way to the edges, and then we're going to place it on our glass canister. Once I get my label down, I'm going to take a damp rag or maybe a little bit of rubbing alcohol on it and wipe off any Mod Podge that got on the glass, because you will be able to see that. And then I'm going to come in with just another layer of Mod Podge and seal that label up. And yes, I know I say Mod Podge wrong. I have just said it wrong, like I think my entire life. So I cannot say it right without really thinking about it. Either way, that's it for that one. Like I said, I priced it for $27, and I know it's going to be a quick seller. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one. And that is it for today's makeovers. I hope you enjoyed them. If you got any inspiration from today's video, hit that like button. Be sure to let me know which one was your favorite down in the comments. And consider subscribing if you have not already. Thank y'all for spending your time with me today. I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye.